Underdog Daily with the Badge Bros, John and Nez hanging out. We got very special guests here. We got Skylar from ETR in here, SkyHookDFS, and we're going to learn ourselves some sticks today, some links. I don't know. What are the cool kids calling it? I call it sticks and links with the boys when I get out there, but we're going to learn ourselves a little bit of PGA here because the prize pools have been phenomenal on Underdog. We got 10K up top this week for the Genesis Invitational, which is just really cool to see the growth of this game. And, hat tip to Underdog for the structure format change. I think it's got a lot of people really vested in golf this year, myself included, and I want to selfishly, I've been looking forward to this episode for a while here. So I can learn how to start winning in these streets. Nezzy Takes, I know you've been dabbling. Skylar, what's up, my friend? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Appreciate hopping on. It's been fun following your guys' show through the years. I think I got introduced probably through Overzet to watching a little bit of your guys' stuff. And then I'm seeing you crush it in basketball right now. I think some translation actually from the way that game is set up at Underdog to golf kind of makes a lot of sense. So happy to pick your brains and be here today.
Yeah, dude, appreciate it. Yeah, like we were kind of talking about, these PGA contests have really blown up on Underdog, which is like really, really fun and bringing in, a lot of new audiences into these games, much more analysis being done on the site. And it's led me to playing a lot more volume than I have in years past in PGA, where typically maybe I'll just do round one where the biggest contest is, and then just kind of watch the golf from there. But where now I'm like, okay, now I'm locked in all week, and I've already counted my chickens before they hatched, like every single tournament. So learning slowly but surely. Don't do that. Don't get out here. Don't get ahead of yourself.
It's long tournaments, man. If you sweat from like the first tee to the end of it, dude, it's a long week.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially last week when there's no cuts. I learned that one on the fly last week. I was like, "Well, we don't cuts at the pro-ams anymore. What's going on out here?" So, I mean, I'm learning as I go here. I like the initial point you guys made there, or Skylar, you made there, that like the parallels between hoops is definitely very obvious because it's positionless sport from our like drafting landscape. But then I think what people love about it is the dynamic that is in tandem with the NFL, where you have all week to draft. Like, we're dropping these contests on Monday and people are getting excited. There's a little less like movement patterns in terms of like ADP fluctuation based on like Q tags and like stuff like this. So like some of the content can be like a little more evergreen, which is nice to see. But I think it's really, opened up people to being like, hey, I can get in here on Monday. I can casually draft until Thursday morning, and then we're good to go kind of thing. So yeah, really excited about where we're at right now. Macro stuff. Have you been in these contests? We know you do a lot of the salary-based stuff with ETR there, but have you been in the streets out here mixing it up yet?
Yeah. I've drafted probably at least 4 of the 6 tournaments I think I've been a part of. I try to anywhere between like 50 and 100 lineups in the MME stuff, the single entry, 20 max. And then one thing that had a ton of interest from our subscribers was, Underdog is doing the season-long stuff too. The Scramble was the event that was January through the Open Championship, basically, with segments cutting it up. And then there's the Albatross right now, which is the major-only contest. So I'm updating those ranks. I'm the one that does that on our end at ETR. So we're updating those constantly with the projections team. So I've gotten into the dailies, and I think the strategy, especially like when we talk a week of this week when there's only 72 golfers, is pretty intriguing because the repetitiveness of how often people are drafted, I think, is a huge part of how to go about your drafts and Underdog as a whole, and it matters a lot this week.
Just to walk that back for 1 second, the reason the field's smaller this week is because this was one of the signatures in the opening window?
Yeah, so okay. Golf as a whole has evolved immensely since basically Live, got introduced, where they've lost, probably a third of the top players in the world. And they, recreated a way to basically incentivize these top guys who stayed. If you were in the top 50 from last year, you're going to be in every signature event in the following season. So you're looking at 8 of them, which is basically guaranteed. Now this week, some of them still hold prestige over the others. There is a small cut this week. It's 72 golfers down to 50 over this weekend. So if you're within 10 strokes of the lead, you would still actually make the cut, even if you're like T54. So there's that caveat to it. So there's some weird wrinkles compared to last week, but yes, this is one of the 8 signature events we have.
Okay, interesting stuff there. Sorry, Nez, I'll let you jump in one sec, but I got one more question to associate with that because I'm learning on the fly here too. Without me, going down the full projection rabbit hole and that sort of thing, where do I just find all that basic information? Like without, you have 10 years of DFS experience to be like, hey, I know this is a small field event. I know that the cut is, there was no cuts last week, but I know we can cut this week to the top 10. Like, where do I find all that basic stuff to just have a baseline understanding?
Yeah, I mean, if you found like golf Twitter as a whole is one of the strongest like niches that exist. Okay. We've done a lot of free content through the years. Obviously at ETR behind the paywall, we're deep into the weeds. Our golf product covers, DFS specifically, but also the same product is full encompassing of best ball right now too. But okay. Yeah, if you on Twitter at SkyHookDFS, like I'll be retweeting left and right other people. Like there is some really good standard comment. If I'm going to shout out my favorite like public podcast, the Fried Egg / Shotgun Start is like not a gambling podcast in the sense they'll joke that they are as they make their one and done picks, but like they're just like true golf like media personalities that are phenomenal. So that's one that I like to listen to. But obviously we cover it in the weeds at ETR.
Right on. Okay, cool.
That Monday review show is free in front of the paywall for anybody looking to get introduced to us too. Cody and I have been doing some of that, and Sam as well. Mm-hmm. That one's in front of the paywall if anyone wants to get introduced on that too.
Right on. Yeah, cool. This is like, yeah, I mean, like longtime ETR guy, fully in the weeds with the other sports, but even I'm kind of like, oh yeah, this is what is all encompassing with the golf product right there. I know Lev likes to always say that we cover it with the same intensity as NFL and whatever. So it's like, it's good to see here. Okay, cool. Right on. I'll share that with the people in the chat there. Good baseline understanding there. Nez, do you have anything you want to say here on just kind of like macro right now?
Yeah. So just like, have you been doing these BRs, Skyhook? Like how much have you been dabbling in like in the big contest?
Yeah. So let's see. So my kind of like philosophy on DFS is I kind of like to do 10% of the first place prize. So Underdog is a little bit structured in the sense of it's pretty flat. I think that's from the majority of people like that. So I end up getting, I think the first week I had like 50, the last couple of weeks, 100. I think I'm 50 deep already this week.
Nice.
Of it. So I'm an auto drafter at heart. And that's where I probably lose some credibility in the streets with that. But I think that's part of just being, it matters so much on the back end of the drafts, but drafting in quantity, it's hard. Like what you guys do is very difficult to be able to diversify smartly while not being in every second of every draft. Like it's a hard balance to find. I probably shoot myself in the foot more than I realize while also probably still drafting like decently good teams,
Yeah, that's the nature of the beast right now. That's how the games have adopted and changed, where there's more prizes, there's, bigger contests. And, if you want to put in the volume necessary to have shots on goal, you kind of like have to make those sacrifices, like you were saying, in the back end of those drafts in order to get the volume that you want to get in. It's just, it's a gift and a curse. It's, it's the curse that it's, I wish I could be more, mindful of what I'm doing with these combos, but it's nice that this is positionless golf. And, if you have the right rankings and you kind of have somewhat of an idea of who you're going to get, like it's easy to do. So, it's nice that you have the ability to do that. I think.
Yeah. Good way to get volume down, like in general. And there's no shame in being the auto draft bros. It's a skill set. It is a skill set. We're not going to shame around here. We love it. I mean, especially in the positionless sports, as Nez was alluding to there. Let's get a little deep in the weeds with some of the stuff that you guys do at ETR and some of the back end stuff, because Nez and I talk so much on this program about like the projections and then how then we work around projection to then formulate our own lineups, right? We're the scroll the F down bros. We're looking for edges. We're trying to do this sort of thing. And, when we're talking about NBA, we can, translate some, minutes over here. And what if we get some backup 5 minutes over there, and we can kind of fudge with things. We know guys who score in volume, like relative to rebounds and assists versus points, or guys who are big stock guys, that sort of thing. So how does the sausage get made on your end for projecting golf? Because as someone who has no idea, like I could start to guess about like driving accuracy and putting and how courses set up for guys, but like truly what goes into it for you guys? What are some of the things that you look at every single week?
Yeah. So I guess if we just, crack the egg from like the beginning. So basically every golfer, if you could only look at one stat per week, if it was one thing, you're just looking at what they shot every single round, right? Like there are a million ways to shoot an even par. But like at the end of the day, 18 holes versus a competition gives us a baseline. And we basically, what's the most important thing I think in golf is weighting how strong the fields are that you're playing against. Like that's what I would say is number one. The tournament next week, the Cognizant Classic, is way weaker than this week. Scotty Scheffler is not going to be there. Rory, Tommy, all these guys are not going to show up. So if you go out and win the Cognizant, it's probably equivalent to finishing like, 8th in this field. But if you're not doing some type of weighting versus the competition that they're playing in, you might, think somebody's a little bit better than they actually are. So like that's number one from a baseline standpoint is getting the baseline of the golfer. So from there, you're moving specifically into underdog type of stuff. You want to know how the player gets to their score. So birdie average versus bogey average, seeing, are they more of a scoring type? It's basically like, are they a 3-point shooter? Or are you down in the paint, right? Like, do you rip through birdies? And you might not be as good as the best golfers, but if your birdie rate is, an extra 2 birdies per round, that's how you rack up points in underdog and DFS too. Like birdies are massive, in regards to scoring, especially on a week where there's only minimal or no cut. Like scoring is more important. Last week, actually, I'd have to double check on DraftKings, or on Underdog, but DraftKings actually, Sepp Straka finished second in the tournament, but he outscored Morikawa, who won by virtue of birdies that week, and eagles and streaks and different things they offer. So that is the next layer of seeing that type of player and their scoring ability. And the last thing would be course fit. So every course would be different in skill sets that matter. And ultimately, we adjust that baseline by course fit. I'd say the things that go into course fit: driving distance versus accuracy, iron play versus like putting. Like some courses are relatively flat in regards to a lot of different profiles can play well at it. Others can be super specific in regards to like, they'll play the signature event at RBC Heritage in April after the Masters. And that course is like super tree lined. Like you just cannot hit driver. It takes it out of your hand. So somebody like Rory McIlroy, who's an exceptional driver, he gets a baseline dock because you just can't play that same style of power there. This week at Genesis, Riviera is one of the more like prestigious golf courses that exists on the tour. It's super scenic, based out in Santa Monica, there in LA. And you have just a lot of history. Tiger Woods runs the golf course or runs the tournament and was at the press conference yesterday. Just a lot of history with that event. There's, without getting into like golf overall takes, a lot of stuff is tough these days because the players are so speedy. They can hit the ball a mile. Like 330 off the tee is no problem for a lot of these golfers. So they're making these traditional golf courses look like a cupcake course. Like Pebble Beach last week is supposed to be this, historic event, and these guys are making it look like your local course down the street. So I think that factors into kind of what we might see at Riviera, where you can just blast driver. But it's a tricky green complex. Putters, people who rely on putting, actually, it's really difficult to putt here. So we've seen golfers who are more approach, or like we call them ball strikers, versus a short game like wizard type of play. Like a ball striker has a better potential here because putting is super variant. So that's kind of the style we have this week. So like that's the layers you get to for how we build at least baselines of everybody.
Okay, cool. That was a lot to digest there. I was kind of keeping some notes on the side here as we kind of went. I think the 3 bullet points is the weighting the field versus the competition, the birdie average versus the bogey average stuff, and then the course fit stuff. Those would be my 3 main takeaways.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
If I'm looking to specifics, and we don't have to get into this week just yet, but if I'm looking into like general specifics, can you give me some archetypes of players and guys who fit certain molds? So like my bro science is like, Denny's a good putter. Maverick McNeely's a good putter. Like this is kind of like my bro science. Colin Morikawa is like a iron strike. He's like a ball strike guy who was playing like double irons last week and stuff off the tee when everybody else was hitting 3-wood and stuff like this. These are like my bro science. Are any of them correct? Are there others that I can fit into these like molds just to have a baseline of the player pool? I can bring up the player pool to just help us think through it too.
Yeah, that was really good. I'm impressed. Like off the cuff, like you nailed it with it. Yeah, so I think that's kind of the exact mold, right? I think you can lean into like some of these. I don't know the best. I was trying to like cross comparisons of like basketball, but like some of these like younger breakout stars is like one bucket. So like, and I don't know how often if you like to be ahead of the curve or you're willing to wait them out. Like this is kind of the state of the game where we're at. Like on this list, Chris Gotterup and Jake Knapp are the 2 that are like, they're breaking out at the moment. Gotterup has won twice so far this season. From all of the stuff we talked about, like we're just not to the ADP level that they're getting drafted or their salaries in DraftKings because we don't have a baseline sample. Because that is the other thing with golf. People like to see what they saw last week and think it's going to happen next week. Like it's right. Super like, how does recent form not be the most important thing? They just won last week. You're going to win again. Like there's so much bounciness week to week. So we look at like 50 rounds as a long-term stuff. And that's where like Gotterup and Knapp, they're not the 6th and 7th best player in this field yet, So they're both speedy off the tee type of guys. If you look at this, Rory is somebody. Now Rory's got way more in his bag than just a driver, but he is somebody who is among the longer type of guys in the field. I would throw, if you scroll down a little bit more, like a Minwoo Lee kind of fits this same bucket. He's probably ADP. He might be like early 20s.
So, or did he fall? Okay.
Yeah. So he's somebody who fits that we're still catching up a little bit on.
He's the YouTube bro, right? Whereas him and his sister are both really good. Is that the?
Yeah. Yep. And he makes like hype video. He's sick. Like he's cool. Like all these guys are cool. That's the problem. They're like really easy to click. Knapp, we call him the people's golfer because he's like 30% owned in DFS like every week, despite not projecting well. And then he like continues to T10. So it's those guys like fit a bill of like these younger breakout type of players that you're working with. And then I would say if you scrolled back up to the top, if you look at like golfers that might not fit the distance type of narrative you mentioned, like some of these golfers are just great golfers, like Scotty, Rory, Tommy, Xander, Hideki at this stage. Like they're all they're not course dependent type of players. When you get into like a Morikawa or a Si Woo in Russell Henley they're the golfers that benefit at that more accurate type of style of course. Okay. So those ones, and even like a Straka below that who played really well at Pebble, like this course is going to be longer than Pebble Beach. So like those would be another bucket, I would say. And for me, where I like to lean into that course fit angle is the scrolls, right? Like if I think there's a certain way to go about playing the golf course, and you can get the longest players off the tee that are undrafted all the time, like Marco Penge, Aldrich Pocketer. These guys are literally going to be at the absolute bottom of this list. Now, I don't think this week is going to be like crazy bomber heavy, so I'm not there with them, but you could go like different angles among these players. So I think like that kind of buckets some of the top of the board at least. Sure.
Okay. Yeah. No, very cool. Learning on the fly here. This is good. Specifically speaking to this week, I think this is like a good pivot. Like what in my scrolls, I'm looking for what this week?
Yeah. So I like the birdie rate of an event that like basically doesn't, I mean, there is a cut, right? So there is a factor of it, but like I'm trying to find golfers that, we have the like internal data that tracks these guys birdie rate. So if I looked at some of these scrolls of guys down here, I'll pull it up as we go. Like Jacob Bridgman is down, like I think close to being undrafted quite a bit. Like he's somebody who's averaging, 1.2 birdies over the field per round and like sustaining that. Pearson Cootie, who's getting drafted in the 20s, he's not as much of a scroll guy there. Ryan Gerard, Akshay Bhatia are other guys there. And then one of the things that I do at ETR, I write our value report, which is basically golfers $7,500 and lower on DraftKings that I think are going to be less than 10% owned. So I try to do like, I know ball takes and like dig into some of the deeper players. And so like this week, I have guys that work with Scheffler basically in DFS, which are like down in the 6K range, Bridgman being one of them. And those are more, I've been in the golf streets for a while. I really like the European tour. So I get to know a lot of players that come overseas and then come play in the States. So you get somebody like a Sammy Valimaki, who's like undrafted, who just won in the fall swing for the first time. He can get birdies in bunches and win events. There's like, who else did I have? Ryan Fox, who's probably near this type of range. He's somebody that I wrote up that they're more like one tool players basically. And if that one tool is on par for that week, then like they can pop. So like that's the kind of mold, because you're not going to get like great players. It's different than NBA where like a projection might be a couple points off. When you get down here, like these guys can be a tier deeper, but they don't separate from each other that much once you get that lower, if that makes sense.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense to me. Oh, Nez, I'm kind of like stepping all over.
No, you're good. You're good. This is good.
Okay. Yeah. The one thing I kind of want to ask, just like macro from the daily lens of like playing, because we offer two different slates on our site here. There'll be like the day by day where you're looking for like showdown style. Like, hey, I'm looking for scoring today. I'm looking for dude playing in the morning because the conditions are better or whatever. We'll get into that as a sidebar conversation. Versus I'm looking for someone who gets placement points over the entirety of the weekend. Between those two formats, is there more scrollability in one than the other because you need more than just one outlier scoring day? Or kind of like, how do you balance that like mental gymnastics?
Yeah, I think you're able to lean into scoring ability the most on these weeks specifically, because so much more of the portion of the field is playing all 4 rounds. Basically, in DFS, if you get a 6 of, like you can't win a contest without a 6 of 6 unless like a disaster, meaning all 6 golfers in your lineup made the weekend, right? Unless you're in a super small field type of contest, you need all 6 of your golfers to play the weekend. So like that side of things is way more relevant next week than this week. Like I'm just not even thinking about that as part of the equation this week, despite there being a cut. So I would, and Underdog's scoring versus DraftKings and FanDuel, their finishing position isn't as relevant in their overall pie as it is in the other ones. So I think there's a little bit, like they introduced that in the season-long stuff this year too. But like, I think it's 20. Yeah. If you pull it up here for first place, 20 points, 20. Right? So for DraftKings, it's 30, right? And then second is 20. So like, there's a huge premium to get the winner for the week. Like one birdie is gonna make up, 5th to basically like, 3rd or 10th to 7th. Like it's not that big of a deal when you have so many guys playing all 4 rounds.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So, like, if a guy birdies 18 and finishes 5th, like, there's a 15-point swing, whereas if the guy pars 18 and finishes 1st, there's 20. And, like, we're literally looking at a difference of, like, 5 points that could have been made up elsewhere throughout the first 17 holes or the entirety of the weekend. Okay, cool.
I think the other things like the consecutive birdies, like little, like again, you can rack up 3-4 birdies in a row. Like those matter, and those bonus points. Like I think the scoring you definitely project to be more of a importance on the week.
Okay, cool. Nez, I got one more question about this. It's just kind of like overlap in player pool, especially on a short week like this, from like an ownership dynamic standpoint. Like viability of scrolls this week is probably, I guess, a little bit more so because you weren't thinking about, the cut as much this week, or is that my wrong takeaway here? Should we be scrolling less in a week like this, more in a week like this? Like, how am I creating different lineups that make sense than the field right now?
Yeah. So this is like, again, I'm just trying to get comfortable with things. To me, it seems more likely to scroll. Like I on the standard weeks, I was waiting till the 5th and 6th round to start scrolling. I think now I'm even starting to do that in the 3rd round. Or no, excuse me, the 4th, 5th, 6th, the 3 rounds of scrolling here, because outside of like literally the bottom 2 golfers, Vegas and Brian Campbell, like I don't think anybody is off the table basically. And with the perk of a smaller field like this is just they do have just a higher likelihood of hitting the table or hitting like the winning. Just by virtue of 72 golfers, it's more likely this week that Bud Cauley is relevant than he would be when there's 144 golfers in the field, right? Just by virtue of that. And 36 golfers get drafted. So half the field is drafted in every single draft, right? So I think that from a strategical standpoint just lends itself to, man, I'd rather have a 30% owned guy than the 100% owned 28 ADP guy when there's just not that much of a difference.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And like, that's something hard conceptual for us. Like, understanding the projection dilemma is like conceptually difficult for me when I don't know the archetypes of the golfer. But on a week like this week, I'm looking like, Matt McCarty, I know that name. Like Andrew Novak, I know that name. So this is actually a pretty good week for like guys like me to be hopping in here for a first time this season. Like, we talk, I could even tell you that I knew Denny McCarthy was a good putter. Like I even knew that. I even knew a fact about someone down here. So this is quite an inviting slate. All right. Okay, cool. Nez, anything else you want to talk about before we kind of get into like the specifics of this week, I guess?
No, yeah, I'm just like itching to get some takes on on this tournament, man. I've been doing some autos, playing around with some ranks that I threw together, and curious to see if they're passing your sniff test or not. You mentioned Bridgman off the jump, so that made me giddy. So I got some Bridgman. Now, mind you, like I'm still kind of figuring out these golfers' profiles and also like what will play well here. Now it seems like on this course, like it just a flat out bomber maybe isn't like the way to go, but also like Bubba Watson has won here like multiple times. So like what in your opinion is like the like ideal archetype of golfer and like maybe the biggest long shot that fits that mold in your opinion?
Yeah. So it's hard because you get like this pretzel brain when you're so deep into a niche of something, right? Like, I know you guys live these type of things.
The grass and the rough. Let's get
into it. But like, to me, I take in a lot of content, and like your take of a bomber making sense here, I think is like the common narrative. So like, I almost think that's going to influence ownership in DFS to the point that I'm okay not leading into that. This is a different ballgame, right? Like if you just ask me what I would prefer, and the reason why, like from a statistical standpoint, this is one of the courses like that separates on the tour where it doesn't really matter if you hit the fairway or not. Like scoring from the fairway versus the rough is rather similar. So when that's the case, you might as well be aggressive off the tee. There's no need to hit it back into the fairway. You might as well play from the rough, take a shorter iron in, and set up your scoring chance, right? I think that like surface level, like that is the way to probably play this style of course. Now, where your Bubba Watson comp comes into play is he also played extremely well at Augusta National, multiple time winner at Masters. And that course, the comparison to Riviera in there is the greens are difficult in the sense that like you have to if you want to score, you have to basically hit it to a small target on a bigger green. Like you have a shorter area to give yourself a decent birdie look. And with how difficult putting is here, you need to be close if you want to rack it up. So like, to me, I am looking at spike iron players. Like I think that separates it more than the distance in my opinion, because some of like the scroll distance guys, like they're terrible with their wedges, like you'd rather them be at just a really easy course where like it's just whether or not you make your putts from anywhere on the green versus like a little bit more of a challenge that Riviera like has on its greens this week, in my opinion. So I lean into more, and this is where like recent form, we're just seeing like some of these guys aren't going to be consistent, but like the Bud Cauley or Bridgman, they're doing a ton of iron play right now in their lead up form to this, which when they typically are good putters, you match that combo on a week. Bridgman almost won last week. Like he was in the mix, and he's almost undrafted. Like I'm betting him to win this week. Like that's the style of player that I like to see. A spike iron who I know can do it on the short game a little bit too.
Okay, cool. I think it's a nice little segue and funnel into like merging macro principles with this week. So we're looking for spike iron this week because of all the reasons which you just laid out. Now, if we get deep in the weeds on, tee times and weather conditions and stuff like this, let's kind of have that as a macro and then pivot it into this week. So on the macro, like, is this good information for us? Like we joke all the time that like, hey, like, there's so much being made about this weather in this football game, but it's like, it's 20 mile per hour winds and a little bit of snow. And then we go out and everybody faded the game and there's 40 points scored either way, that kind of thing. So like what kind of like, I don't know if it funnels into projection for you guys or you can speak to it, but like maybe just funnels into like micro decision making for us. Like what are some specifics that you'd be looking at this week? Are early times good? Or is the thicker rough, as you were alluding to, leading you to these spike iron guys, etc.?
Yeah. So weather definitely plays, of the sports, probably the most, I mean, maybe outside of baseball, but like of the most importance in golf. Now, it's obviously tricky to project because you're at a tournament, you're not just projecting what the wind is going to be at, an hour and a half before the game. Like we have to look into what Friday is also factoring into, because we guarantee these guys Thursday, Friday. So we're trying to basically be 48 hours out of a wind forecast and try to nail it. I think often we end up more conservative than maybe the public likes to play it. But the way we basically simulate wind would be you take what the golfer would play in no conditions, and then you would take what the players would play with the conditions, and whatever gap that ends up being, that gets applied to that specific like window. So like on if you went back to ETR, we have if you go PGA, it's golf rankings, course fit, history, weather split. Right there, it's like halfway down or like 3/4 of the way down the left side there. Yep, keep going, a couple more right there. So I think our team does a sick job at this. Like, so one, if you wanted to, like, you don't have to have this. This is behind the paywall, but basically what you would have here is you would have by the hour, Thursday, Fridays, impacts of the wind. So if you play at 7 a.m. on Thursday and then 9 a.m. on Friday, you have a 1.5 adjustment of your projection of that.
Oh, wow.
So like we have that projected out for every tee time split. So
very cool.
I think it matters. So like this week, if you tee off Thursday first thing in the morning, it looks like you're going to get the best of it. Now we only focus on wind. There's also rain in the forecast. So there could be, what happens with rain in golf is it just gets delayed. So you do have some variability of what that product or the time they would play at. But ultimately, like a Jake Knapp gets a huge boost. And he's already a guy that we're low on. So we bumped up his projection, but still didn't get there. So to your, again, if you just, I keep talking a lot, but like,
no, that's good.
The fact of double counting also comes in quite a bit, right? Like Knapp's good tee time is already into our projection. So like, you don't have to add an extra boost to him because he's teeing off at 7:15. So We do. We have you covered from a weather standpoint.
Okay, cool. Rain in the forecast at Riviera traditionally plays like what? Softer. Now these are scoring conditions, or is there a general like blanket rule for rain? You know, what would kind of just be like the bro science like I can be aware of on my own accord?
Yeah, I would say 3 things. It probably plays easier because I think the only way golf gets more difficult for these guys is firm conditions, and wind and dryness creates it, because it's difficult to hold your ball on the green if the green's bouncy. Like it's difficult. So when you have wet condition, the ball just sticks. So when it sticks, you don't get basically the run out of your drive. So I would say people say wet conditions is better for longer drivers, but also if you could just hit a towering iron and it's just going to stick on the green too. Right. So I don't think it takes away from the iron play. And this is a course that can get hard in the right spot. I don't think it's going to be hard this week because it's been not just raining tomorrow, it's been raining a ton in the lead up.
Okay.
But that style of that is not built into the projections. That's kind of more of an IKB of okay, this is a different Riviera. It's wet and soft. These guys are going to X, Y, and Z are going to pick up because of that. We don't get to that level in the projection.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's actually a really good point, just to kind of balance the two from me, in my own frame of mind. Hey, am I double counting if I'm thinking about rain, or am I double counting if I'm thinking about wind and tee time? Well, those things are in the projection. The rain factor associated with, the whole course playing softer and easier this week than historically speaking is IKB. Okay, that's a really good distinction.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Of some of these guys here, where I'm trying to get ahead of this, some of the guys that are hashtag popping in the model this week. He said Knapp doesn't get there from a projection standpoint, even with the boost. We see your boy from the European Tour up here. We see good Canadian kid, Taylor Pendrith up here. Anyone popping for you in a big way that's oh, wow, that's abnormal this week?
So one of the weird things in golf is when you win a golf tournament, people kind of rule you out shortly afterwards. So Morikawa, to me, his ADP off the first round, I think he's probably can get picked as high as 5. I think his ADP is 8 right now. He's 8.2. Yeah, I would have him upwards of right there, as number 5 in the field. And I mean, that's kind of where I'm learning a little bit, is the balance of how high to reach on golfers. We have a factor of ADP into our, just raw rankings. So that's where, I don't know how you guys do it, but I got a huge, I get 25 drafts under my belt to see how much of a certain guy I'm getting a ton of, and then try to slide him down 3 or 4 spots to get him even later. That was my gut take. So Colin, Victor Hovland, he's played awesome at this course. It's something we haven't talked about course history yet. People like course history. Hovland, he has been incredibly strong at this course, a really good iron player despite lack of success. This year, he's still hitting his irons really well. So I was getting a ton of him out of the gates. I got a ton of Matt Fitzpatrick, 12.8. I probably had him closer to 9 or 10 in my initial run. Those were the 3 guys I had to push down, or else I basically just drafted the same team with 3 scrolls, I felt every time. So I'm doing my best to diversify with autoing, and that's kind of my way, at least off the jump, to do it so far.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, we talk about the diversification stuff here all the time, from sport to sport, and how some of it is risk tolerance exercise, how some of it is actual combo mapping and going to be an intelligent endeavor to do at isolated moments. But if you do have guys that are lapping the field in terms of projection, there's no reason you shouldn't just be overweight your targets here for all the reasons you're stating, right? This is what we built up to right now, why these guys are the targets with their, long iron striking abilities and whatnot.
Yes. Yep, for sure. And I think that's where learning from you guys and thinking it through, I've always just thought it through the lens of football, but football is all of this is a little bit different than the golf just because of the lack of correlation. The only correlation typically ends up being skill sets, skill set stacking or tee time stacking. If you think, now this is a little bit different where there's a tee time at 7 a.m. all the way to noon, and there's no split of waves. there's the others where you get, 7 to 10 a.m. and then 1 to 4 p.m. and you get more of a diverse forecast that way too. But the lack of correlation makes golf interesting in the sense of this format.
Yeah, for sure. Just to dial it back for my dumbass, this tee time splits in larger field events like this, they flip on Thursdays and Fridays, correct?
Yeah. So if you are a morning guy on Thursday, you're an afternoon guy on Friday. But this is a different one. Like you'd have to really look into just because there's only 72 golfers, they're all teeing off the first hole. Versus there's no breaks. Like you basically just go all day until the final group, where typically there's a large split in the day.
Okay, cool. Love it. Okay. I love that we can bridge like these sicko principles in like one isolated moment and then just walk it fully back and be like, wait. I just need to clarify like the most simplistic metric of all time right now, please.
No, it's perfect. It's why I want reaching out to you guys to do this is because your skill set and brain of this, I don't think is natural for a lot of us that have just focused on golf DFS, in the basic, not basic, but like the way that sims have impacted DFS sports. This is still, somewhat parallels that, but like still a different strategy to think through for a lot of people getting into it for the first time.
Yeah, very much so. Well articulated. Nez, what do you think? Should we rip a draft here and see what happens?
Yeah, let's get in these streets. Let's see how we do. And then while we wait for a lobby to fill, I'd like to ask you your thoughts on my highest drafted golfer at the moment, being Harris English, who I have truly no opinions about. It's just who I ended up with. I kind of get my clankers working early in the week, and then I'll pivot to more of you guys focused from Wednesday to Thursday morning. So thoughts about that early run of me having a lot of Harris English. I'm not going to say the exact number.
Yeah. He's the chalk of the week, chalk du jour in DFS. We are crazy ahead of his ADP. We think he's 7,900. I think on DK, he could probably easily be $600-700 more. He's, I would say, the cash play of the week. So in this style where he's at, yes, I let's see, I'm 50 deep. Let's see if I can pull up how much Harris I have. Let's see. Yeah, I have 24% right now. So I'm trying to be a diversity bro. I don't know if that's not too much of a stand. I think right now for me, Morikawa and Cam Young are my top two at 42 each right now.
Nice. Okay.
We
these things go so fast, by the way. They're crazy how quick these go. You're at the clock. Yeah. We're going to be on the clock in round 2 before we know it. And then
exactly. Is Rory a guy that we take at 2 here?
I think he's clearly the second best golfer in this field. I don't love him this week, but I wouldn't pass on him for anybody else here.
Okay, cool. I like that you articulated that way, because I was going to ask you, some of the crazy principles that I throw out there. And, not everyone subscribes to this gal brain bullshit that I do, but I talk about flipping the board and going crazy. And I'm like, hey, if we think Colin Morikawa is the best player this week because of all these things we stated, can I just take him after Scotty and flip the build and this sort of thing? Is there any credence to stuff like that because of the variance in golf, or is it still just bad macro principles to pass on Rory?
I would think it probably actually pays off more in golf versus other tightly projected sports. Just because Colin beat Rory last week and it wasn't a surprise,
Right.
So I probably still wouldn't be doing it. But I don't think it's against itself to be there. That's what I'm trying to figure out through here, how weird to get overall. I think I've probably been conservative in regards to things.
Scott, you just gave me an inch and I'm about to take a fucking mile, bro. This is you're singing my music right now. I was no, I respect it. Okay, we got some sickos in here with us. I know these guys mix it all up in the golf streets all the time here. Comes back to us. Henley goes in front of us. Siwoo Kim, who was a favorite of some of the stuff earlier. You talked about Cam Young. Is it Cam Young time yet? What do you guys like?
I would probably go Fitz over any of these guys here, and then try to get Cam Young on the way back.
Okay, cool. Fitz is going to record every shot he's ever took all weekend long.
Yeah, see, you're a golf bro. Did you know this?
I like to knock it around a little bit. I like to knock it around. So Cam Young and Siwoo Kim go there. Who do we like next?
So I probably, you said Siwoo went to, yeah. So Burns would be the next on my rankings. Okay. He almost won last week. He's one of the players too that just has a natural birdie ability above expectation versus some of the other guys. Now, like this is another bucket of players, like the Ludwig Aubert, who's next year. He's somebody who's like a long-term skill set guy who's in kind of a bad spot. Like he's just out of form, but golf is again weird in the sense that like you can fall off the map from a radar like perspective of like popularity if you aren't in good form. But like Morikawa was basically Aubert like last week.
Right.
So I'm not too worried about him long term. He's gonna bounce back. Like he's probably just a better like at his peak, like a better golfer than anybody in the third round there. It's just when is he going to get back to form?
I know. I wish this was like. I think the reason he's where he is right now, personally, is like he kind of bounced back slightly last week. You know, he showed a little bit of like some good golf, and he won this last year, right?
Yes. Now it was at a different course last year, but yes.
Oh, he did. Okay. Well,
because they had the fires last year here, so that's Cootie is another guy that So this is where like I don't know. I guess I would go Cootie and then scroll, right? I like 4 in and then, or I guess you could even scroll now. I don't know what you start doing.
I think when you get a little bit of an ADP value, I think it's fine to go Cootie here if you guys think that's the right play. And then now we can get a little crazy with the last 2 slots here in a logical, controlled fashion, of course.
Yeah. So can we flip back and look at some of those
for sure.
Oh, like Bridgman was somebody to me. I think he's still 35.
Yep.
Spawn also fits the same like mold of Spawn won a major championship last year. Like he's had a slow start to the year, but he was one of the pivotal members of the Ryder Cup last year. Like he's a really good, raw, talented player. He just out of the gates is slow. So to have him versus like other guys, he probably is the talent of the scroll plays.
Okay, cool. Right. Well, let's take JJ then. It's interesting. We're talking about, combinations within our own roster here when we're actually drafting in the room. My bro science takeaway is like, okay, Rory's like a bombing guy. Like, do we want to pair like more of driver accuracy for the weekend alongside that? Is that JJ's music? Is that Bridgman's music? Like that's the stuff that I'd be struggling through right now.
For sure. And it's definitely not like that. That's a great point though. Like Cootie would fit that bill. Okay. Now JJ, he won a U.S. Open on a big golf course. Kitayama's more of that bomber type versus Bridgman. And this is like I'm trying to mix and match, So Kitayama, someone's watching, okay. I'd probably be. I mean, your Canadian guy Pendrith, like he is more of the distance type of guys. And if you just like, you could easily just overlay like DraftKings salaries. Like Pendrith is mid-7s. These other guys, like Valimaki's like 6,200. Like there's a gap, but there's probably not that much of a gap. I mean, Pendrith has a lower ADP than Valimaki. I don't know if I messed that up, but like shouldn't be that way in theory. Okay,
cool. No, I like that. Any excuse to take a good Canadian kid here with some driving distance in his bag. You don't have to tempt me with a good time. That's cool. So you brought up. I'm seeing the chat go crazy. Baby J took him right in front of us here. Kitayama. This guy's getting some steam this week. What is it about this guy that everybody is going crazy with?
So he's kind of a high variance player that he's won a signature event. Like these fields typically get won by studs. Like there's a lot of them in the field. It's rare to have a long shot win a signature event. Kitayama is one of the only ones who have done that in his career. He also won at a super longer course last year, 3M Open, where his distance kind of came into play. And he's more of the ball striking type than the short game type. And from a sustainability standpoint, like those that are really good off the tee and those that are really good approach, those are stickier stats than the bounciness of putting and around the green on a week standpoint. So like we are.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Can you repeat that one last time for me just to make sure I got this right about the stickiness of stats from a week to week basis?
Yes. So if we're just principles of the game, off the tee, there's not a shot before it, right? It's your opening shot. So there's no factors into your off the tee shot. So you should carry over off the tee very week to week, very highly. That correlation is super high.
Okay.
Next correlation for us is iron play.
Okay.
And why irons versus putters is, so strokes gained stats is kind of what we based off a lot of these things. So there's a way to judge how much you gain or lose to the field on a per shot basis. When you make a putt, that alters the outcome drastically because you just shaved a stroke off, right? Yeah. Versus hitting the ball from 100 yards out, if you put it to 8 feet or 12 feet, like it impacts the number, but it doesn't change it. If you make a 10-foot putt or you miss a 10-foot putt, that's a drastically different outcome. Right. So like that just works itself into the variance of strokes gained putting is how much one single stroke can alter that number. Whereas off the tee and approach play don't have that wide range, if that makes sense.
Okay, no, that makes perfect sense. And I'm sorry to make you mansplain very basic principles, but it's like, it's really necessary for me at isolated moments like this, where I'm like, yep. Oh shit, that was important. And he's just going to gloss over it because it's normal, takeaways for you to just say that on your show 50 times a day. And I'm like, okay, I just need to hear that one more time. So
we project like a Morikawa or an Oberg, they were very good ball strikers off the tee approach game. Mm-hmm. That stat just tends to stick with a player. So it's more likely they're going to come back versus like a Denny. Like Denny is having a bad year and he was much more of a player who relied on his short game to get it done. And he could do it better than anybody in the world. But at some point, it's hard to sustain that level and compete consistently against, the best of the best ball strikers who will run into a good putting week here and there and, elevate their game that way.
Cool. Okay. Very nice. I think that was a really good overview of both the weekend and the macro concepts. Nez, is there anything else that we can tie a bow on Genesis Invitational with here? Any other questions?
Yeah, I guess I'll just ask you about my second highest drafted golfer. I've got a little motto around here where it's, see Woo Kim, draft Woo Kim. You seem to be a little, just slightly off him, is it more of just like a Fitzpatrick thing than it is a Siwoo thing? Or are you just kind of like fading the hype around my good friend?
Yeah, no, Siwoo is electric. He's one of my favorite golfers on tour. So it's not a slight on him. I think, so he up until last week, like has been Scotty Scheffler outside of putting. Like if tee to green, he was matching Scheffler, which is incredibly difficult to do in one week. I don't think is going to change my overall thoughts. He was out of it and didn't play well Friday or Saturday, basically for the first time all year. I think Fitz has a little bit more, like, again, I'm not like leaning into overall distance, but if it comes with off the tee strength, like Fitz is going to put himself into better positions off the tee. Siwoo is just going to have to hit better irons from a little bit longer and then find a better week on the greens. Like he just hasn't really done that here at this course. He's got one strong finish. So I think it's tea leaves between Fitz, Kim, Young, Russell Henley, and Siwoo. I was trying to like alter those four, the order. Like I'm getting in there, I'm starring like 20 golfers and I'm trying to mix those. And then I scroll and star like 4 more. That's kind of how I went to. And those 4 were like a category for me.
Okay. That makes sense.
Cool. I got one last just kind of like macro dailies question. How do we combat the narratives of the, Scotty's all that matters kind of thing, like the Joker effect on our draft games with Scotty? Like, is this a spot where Scotty means more? Like you said, this is less of a long shot and a smaller field. Does Scotty mean more here? That sort of deal. How do we combat that kind of notion?
I think it's combated a bit in the sense of the finishing position not being anchored to as much of the points on the week. So his win doesn't separate from second and third as much. Being that he can only be drafted by one team, I think it also just kind of factors into, now you're competing against obviously 4,000 plus, but this course specifically for him, there's nothing that's Scheffler proof, right? Like he is that good in every part of the game. Is he leaking a little bit? Yes. I think like it's now 2 weeks in a row where round one came out slow out of the gates. We're seeing probably the lowest DFS ownership we've seen of him yet this season, because people are skeptical of his history and a few different things here. So, I mean, I think you mentioned like getting Rory and going with an archetype. Like, I'm curious what you guys would do. So like in a Jokic draft, like, do you alter what you would do because you separated yourself in the field? Like, should I not scroll as much with a Scheffler? Like, how do you think about that?
I mean, you're talking the sick of the sick here. I scroll more because I'm like, oh, let me flip the board with these Joker teams, because nobody's going to sacrifice a band of projection when it comes to their Joker teams because they get so few of them, right? Yeah. So then I get a little crazier. I mean, it's hard to say what's right, what's wrong, what's worked for other people, like that sort of thing. But I think the macro notion that the community subscribes to is to clutch their pearls a bit when they get a Scotty team, when they get a Joker team. So just being the guy who simply doesn't, there's like a little bit of leverage in that. For sure. That kind of be like my macro. Nez, what do you kind of think?
Yeah, no, I fully agree with like your take as far as like people get a Scotty team and then they reel it in and they get real tight with their plays after that. Now, I'm not saying we need to, in order to combat that, scroll down to pit player 60 or whatever. Like, you can merely, what we love to do is flip the board and take, instead of, at the 2-3 turn, take one typical 2-3 turn guy and then, kind of like take a deep breath and go down to that 4-5 turn and take a golfer that typically lives on that side of the board. And then either triple up from that round where like you would normally have the option of 2 players, or take someone on the other side of that board. So scrolling earlier, it feels bad because you are skipping over a good tier, but giving yourself that diversity is like one of my favorite ways to get diverse at the one hole, where you just kind of have to tell yourself a story where like, what if what I don't know is going to happen, like doesn't happen, and just kind of do something a little different.
Yeah. I like that, man. This is beyond my depth of knowledge. We're getting a Ted Scott reference here. Like, this is beyond me. Like, what are we trying to even insinuate here? Is this like a swing coach, or what are we talking about?
So it's Bubba's former caddy is now Scotty Scheffler's caddy. So the success that Ted Scott had at Riviera. Yeah.
There we go. I see. Okay. Beautiful. All right. We got some ball knowers in the chat. I respect this. All right.
Caddy ball knowledge is crazy. That's wild.
Dude, I would just want one of those guys who hacks darts on my bag, who like puts it up for the smoke. That's what I'd be about.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's pivot our brains just ever so slightly. I mean, it's a completely different wavelength. It's a completely different style contest here, but we got the Albatross up in the lobby as well. What would our kind of like first, let's say it as instinct here, in shifting from scramble to dailies to now the Albatross here, because we're only dealing with 4 events. They advance after each event. We had some Galbrain takes last year that Rory could be the 101 instead of Scotty, just because of the course that they were playing at, and that all the money in our week 17 in the final was a links golf course. It was a course that he had a record on, blah, blah, blah. I can't even remember what the narrative we were spinning was. But what kind of is just like a macro lay of the land for us, changing daily brain into our best ball brain here?
Yeah. So this is where, like, I would say if I'm thinking of edge related contests, like just straight up dailies versus, I think the scrolling is how you get the difference in the dailies. This is projecting who is going to be in the field, more or less. And that really matters in the scramble more than the majors because it's 4 events. You probably have a good idea who 75% of these fields are here. But like the scramble, I'm trying to guess who's playing the John Deere Classic in July, based off of that. But you need to draft accordingly from certain tiers of players to match your rosters to not go into a week and have 2 scoring guys and you're just going to drop because of that. Like it's a little bit of a hybrid in the Albatross where so basically what I have is we did raw projections for like the top 200 eligible players in the world. Okay. And then applying the likelihood that they're going to get into these major championships.
Okay.
And then accumulating that projection up. That's our current projection on our site is likelihood multiplied by what we'd expect you to fantasy project on a median level in there. So that's how I get there.
Let me ask just one question there about that in general. Of like the likelihood conversation, like, is there like a big red flag in like the first 20 golfers, or are we not concerned about that in terms of like likelihood to even participate?
I would say slim. Like it matters late. Okay. If I'm looking at like, let's go like the top of the board, like technically Siwoo isn't in the US Open right now, for example. He is the 26th golfer in the world. I think if you're inside the top 50 at the end of May, you are in the US Open. Like he's not going to play bad enough between now and then to miss it. So like, does he have a slight more fragility in his projection? I'm not giving him the 100%, because there are still situations that could happen. So I think that's like a factor in a handful of guys. The other one who's ADP, if you type in Patrick Reed, where's his ADP these days?
Let's see. 24.5. So
this is like, if you're not into like, the golf world, like Live opened, or basically the PGA Tour opened the door for some Live golfers to find their way back to the PGA Tour. Brooks had the straight jump. Reed was required to basically be suspended from the tour to the end of the season. So he is playing on the European Tour, the DP World Tour. Right now, he's played 3 events. He's won 2 of them, and he lost another in a playoff. So he's going to be back on the tour next year. No sweat at this point. He's got himself so high in the world rankings that he, like Siwoo, would qualify via his OWGR or official world golf ranking. He's up to 18 now in the world, but he's still somebody that like he was probably in the 40s because he was only guaranteed the Masters until he used to be 60. Yeah. Because he was probably like a 1 major guarantee type of guy. And then all of a sudden he goes to 4 majors pretty likely. So like that's the difference where I'm trying to update them basically every like Tuesday to like factor in the previous week's change of the golf rankings to see who is more likely or less likely to get into the tournaments.
Okay, cool. Very interesting. I love that macro lay of the land there. Now we can get a little bit more niche with the kind of like, Albatross this year. Obviously we have Augusta every single year. What other kind of like courses are on the docket here that set up well situationally for some guys?
Yeah, so U.S. Open, it'll be at Shinnecock, which is my favorite U.S. Open venue. This is where they basically they say that they lost the course. Like it was almost unplayable on Saturday from a difficulty standpoint. Like balls would not stay on there. If you've ever saw the video that Phil putted a moving ball, this was the course because it just wouldn't stop on the green. Like he literally penalized himself by hitting and moving a ball just to get off the hole. So like it can get nuts there. Brooks Koepka won that US Open. So that's a course where like it's a hang on for dear life, but I really like the ball, like just the pure ball strikers there. Like Brooks finds a way because those guys can find a way to get like pars basically. You just have to like, I think he won at even par or 1 over. Like you just got to find a way to get it done. He's somebody, I think his ADP is like still probably in like the 20s. Like we have like 0 Brooks anywhere on our sites at this point. So like people might be, like we're just way behind him there. But like Shinnecock is going to be an awesome major. the PGA Championships at Aronimink, which Keegan Bradley has dominated. Him and Justin Rose are the two that are kind of intertwined with Aronimink success there. Justin Rose is 45 years old and just lapped the field at the Farmers Insurance Open. He lost to Rory in that playoff at Augusta. So he's like a player where Brooks too, like they're getting drafted at a different level than what just they are baseline wise in a PGA Tour event, because people are, and it's true, like major success is more correlative to future major success versus how you do it at, the Genesis. Like Brooks finds a way to get it done at majors. He always has. Rose is kind of gearing himself up body-wise for the majors and plays better there. So like he's somebody that is going to be tossed around a ton for Aronimink specifically. And then Royal Birkdale will have the Open Championship in this year. So Birkdale, I believe, so that should be, I'm trying to think, was that 19 where we saw it last? I'll pull it up here, the last leaderboard. So I think that was 2019 where, let's see. Nope, that was Portrush. Birkdale would have been 17. So that's when Spieth won at the last one there. He kind of made like a theatrical finish at that one to beat Kuchar there. Open Championships, I personally don't. There's so much that go into links golf when it comes to elements and styles that like that's the one, if you're like trying to bet futures or like who's going to win, I struggle with putting any money in future markets for the Open because it's so weather impacted. Like that's one, like you can totally like just go out at the wrong side of the wave and it can be like a 3-stroke difference. So I try to tend off. I'm more thinking of who is going to be a really good player by this time of the year versus like course fit, I guess, in majors right now.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Now you just want like top form at the end there. Is there anything like to the advancement structure stuff to like prioritize any of the tournaments over the other? Like, is there any archetype building where it's like, hey, put the bombers together, the iron guys together? Like, is there anything structurally, or is it really just like, hey, we're projecting these guys and get as many of the highest projecting guys that are going to play all 4 in your lineup and see what happens kind of thing? Like, what kind of like macro strategy in your team builds?
Yeah. So I'm not patient. I've already drafted 150 for this. Like I couldn't wait because I thought that there would be, where I'm trying to get ahead is players that I think are better than their ADPs. And it's a lot of younger guys, or maybe even guys that aren't qualified for certain major championship. And I'd rather take on the risk of maybe them not getting in the Masters, for example, but being relevant at the US Open and PGA Championship. So only 90 golfers or 80-ish get into the Masters. So like not everyone drafted is going to be in there. So I'm kind of trying to use that to my advantage more. And that's where my scrolls have been in, trying to like find golfers who are likely to get into the second and third majors. And by virtue of playing well, probably the Open Championship too.
Okay.
And then it's because it's not tough to get 6 on your roster in the Masters. So I'd rather use 7 through 12 or 9 through 12 on my roster to really scroll. So a guy like my highest owned golfer is Johnny Kiefer. So he's probably 80, 60 something. Yeah. Johnny? So I think he's just John Kiefer on here.
There he is.
So 70. Yeah. So he was the best player on the Korn Ferry Tour, which is what you graduate up to last year. So he's into the Masters because he got into the top 50 off of just pure performance on the Korn Ferry Tour. So that locked him into the Masters. He right now, if I looked at likelihood for the other majors, he's so high in the world that he's going to find, because he was the number 1 player on the Korn Ferry Tour, he's automatically in the US Open. And I think he's good enough that he's going to overcome like OWGR's ranking to get into the PGA Championship. And they often take players even up to like 100 in the world. Kiefer right now is 61. So like he would have to I think he's better than that and will play his way into that. So to me, he's like a 7th, 8th round talent who's just not drafted like ever, So I have like a lot of those guys I end up like hammering. So like I'm looking at like Rasmus Niergaard Peterson, who came over from the European Tour. Neer is how you start his last name. He's probably similar ADP, a little bit higher, but same type of player. Another Rasmus Højgaard, probably late, a ton of talent. He's a little bit earlier. Okay, so I think the market's caught up on him, but I was getting him in like the 60s.
They're brothers, right? There's Højgaard brothers.
Yes, Nikolai twins, like identical twins.
Yeah. Well, I mean, their ADPs here, 20 spots apart almost. It can't be that identical.
True. Rasmus, I think, is definitely better. And then, so I was early on drafting. You'll appreciate this, Nez. Siwoo. I have a ton of Siwoo.
Okay.
Just because I think he's better than 18th, in the world. Like I think Siwoo is very legit, and a lot of like he's been in the mix at the Masters before. Like I think he can do it. I think his ceiling is winning a major. Like he can do that this year, and so him, he would be of like the studs, like guys that I got a lot of early on.
Because he rose too, Siwoo, I think, right? Because he started out hot out the gate, and so I think that I don't remember what he opened up at, but my understanding is that or what I would guess,
and that's happening a lot. So like Goddard basically is probably he's probably right alongside there, and if you drafted before the season,
Goddard's at 13 now,
which that just feels crazy. I like Chris Goddard, but we're looking at 4 weeks of success early in the season. It's still 6 more weeks till the Masters here.
Right?
So,
the Siwoo one's kind of interesting because there's probably a carryover effect from the scramble where everyone was taking Siwoo so high because he was going to play like 6 of the first 7 events in that first scoring window because he was like, oh, I'm playing the stuff that also isn't the signature stuff, whereas some of the other guys were only playing the signature stuff. So there might be a carryover effect of like, wow, this guy's ADP was so much higher in the scramble, so let's move it up kind of thing.
Totally. And we introduced live golfers again, right? Like this is, and it's hard. Like I'm not really a fan of live and don't track it to the same intensity of what I do the other tours because I don't think the motivation of some of the players like is to the level of what they would take it. Right. So yeah, I mean, you favorite AK here. Like that was insane from a story standpoint, right?
So cool. Yeah.
But like he knocked the brakes off of Rahm and Bryson like in the final round like that. So like, do I discount Rahm and Bryson because of that? Like it's hard to wrap my head around pricing live golfers,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are there any red flags from live that like, hey, they're only guaranteed 1 major or 2 majors right now, and we should be really aware of?
Like Joaquin Niemann, he is a golfer who I bet his ADP is. Joa.
Oh, I put the A first.
So 43. That has calmed down. Like he's always like the trendy, but like he would need to get exemptions in. Like he would need a special exemption into the Masters to be able. Like right now, he's only in 2 of them, and at that ADP, like you can just get other guys that are more likely to play 3, if not 4, than him, unless he gets a special exemption. Now, what I am doing for live golfers, so like David Puig is his name, P-U, it's spelled like Puig, like Yasiel Puig. So Puig is going to be in, I think he's for sure, like based off of like how he's played some of these other events, like I don't think he's locked into anything yet, but like decent chance to probably get two majors in. And when he does, like when he plays on the European tour, because some of these guys will cross over, he's like 18-1 to win the tournament. Like he's one of the better golfers that exist to get in. So like I've tried to go on like take risk with high baseline players that you might not get into that are basically undrafted. So like a Puig, there's a guy named, where's like naming names, but Jaden Trey Scaper, SCH. is how, Jaden. So he's also on the European tour. He's basically him and Reed are clearly the best two players in Europe. Skaper is 54th in the world right now. So borderline eligible for the Masters. So if you are inside the top 50 the week before the Masters, you get in. So he could sneak his way in. He could actually get to 4 majors this year, and he's just not being drafted at all.
Okay.
So, and
just because you brought that. Sorry, just because you brought that up right there in the specific case of Jaden here, we got Money Ain't a Thing in the chat here saying that if you are getting into that window 2 weeks before there and you get in via your world golf ranking there, then you're most likely to be in the first 3 majors. Is that true?
Well, it's just from virtue of you played well enough at that point. If you're inside the top 50, it has the Open has tough regulations too. But if you're in the Masters, you'd have to do something bad or just be a terrible player to not be in the PGA Championship. Some guys get into the Masters by virtue of winning an event and they're just not a relevant player, but spiked, a certain week. But if you earned your way into the Masters via OWGR, you're probably having a really good season, and you can keep up with that the rest of the way. So that's where I've taken the last few rounds, is thinking players that a Skaper, there is I would say almost a 50-50 shot he's into the Masters, if not higher. I think I used 50 as a raw number for our stuff right now.
Okay.
And if you looked at world rankings, he's 54th in the world, but he's also if you just did the field weighting stuff that we talked about in the front end of the show, he's probably a top 40 player in the world. Wow. So
this is my scroll list. We got my scroll list here.
I'll give one more. I'll give one more that I talked through.
Give me 10 more.
Seriously.
Jackson is his first name, Koiven. So this is an interesting one where Koiven is an amateur. He's a college golfer right now. He plays at University of Auburn. He's won his first 2 events of the season. He is a dominant player. If you we put him into our raw rankings. If you only used his PGA Tour, because a lot of these top golfers, they'll get sponsors exemptions. You just used his raw. He's a top 50 player in the world. No sweat. He came in last year and played, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times on the PGA Tour. He missed his first cut, which was a major championship. And then he went T11, T6, T5, T4 as a college golfer. So he's guaranteed to be on the PGA Tour come June. By virtue, they have these, it's called PGA Tour University, but basically you could earn enough points as an amateur. If you're the best one in the world, you're going to get a card to the PGA Tour. And he's done that already easily. So he's going to be on the PGA Tour, but by virtue of being as high up as he has, he's in the last 2 majors of the year. He's in the US Open and he's in the Open Championship.
Wow.
So he could be a late hammer that nobody has. You just have to basically, unless he got an exemption, he's not going to be in the Masters. Mm-hmm. He's not going to probably be in the PGA Championship unless he gets a spot started and wins something. But he's a borderline top 40 player that you could have on the back end of your roster for 2 late majors.
That's sick. And I love the alpha so much. That's so cool. Well done. Thank you. Guys, what do you say we rip one of these and then call it a show?
Yeah. I'm excited to get me some Koiven now. That's right up my alley, because drafting high upside players that will only be there for half a season is my entire MLB best ball strategy. So that I'm no stranger to what you just put down.
Yeah, man. All I see is this Pirates propaganda on my timeline these days.
Welcome to the Nest Show. Get ready to learn Connor Griffin, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I do love. I haven't drafted any dingers yet. I've wanted to soft my way into those. I'm a Tigers guy, so I see Scooble's kind of going late. So
yeah, Scooble, he's an interesting case because it's just our scoring format when it comes to baseball. I don't know what's going on here with the dog app, guys. Give me 1 second.
Did you get crushed?
Scooball's an interesting one just because we love to devalue pitching so much and just be like, hey, it's fine. We can find guys later that, will just eat innings and that sort of deal. So Scooball's a really interesting one. To your Tigers fandom, I have a lot of Framar Valdez now that they just signed him.
That was out of the blue, man. I did not expect that at all. So
yeah,
I would worry on fill rate of this, FYI. I don't know, if we're gonna get there, but
we'll get some people.
I guess we have people watching the show, so yes.
Pony up, nerds. Let's go. Who's going to draft with us? Nobody wants to smoke
I smacked the underflow because I was trying to see if the app was working, and it was, and now I'm in here with all the freaks in the chat. So
we've already filled one and they're drafting already.
Yeah, that's why I got a Scotty team though, so we're gonna
look at you. I think this is a pressing question for people. I think everybody knows what to do at 1 and 2, especially we talked about it earlier there. But who's your 103 here?
Yep, 103. So there was a time where I had Tommy Fleetwood over John Rahm. I think those are almost from a raw projected, identical in some spots, but I would pick Rahm at 3.
Okay. Rahm at 3, no concern that Anthony Kim just whooped his ass.
I know, man. Oh, you're right. We feel these things easy.
Yeah, we're good.
Where did Anthony Kim come from?
So he was out of the golf world for virtually 10, 15 years. He had
40. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, he was in Tiger's era, one of the only golfers that could rival Tiger, basically. And he was just electric, and then disappeared for 15 years, and Liv brought him back, and he was irrelevant for 2 seasons, basically a laughing stock, and then found it a little bit, but then he got kicked off, or relegated from the league, had to earn his spot back, and then won the second event. So people have an infatuation with him.
That's cool.
Yeah. And Ned, you don't know his story at all? You don't know him from back in the day?
No, I don't.
He used to wear a white belt with these big ass stones on it and stuff, and belt buckle that said AK on it. He was Swagzilla, man. He was so cool back in the day. Everybody loved him, and then he became a drug addict. He went Josh Hamilton style, and he was 15-year addict kind of thing. And now all these stories are coming out about him that are so sweet.
That's awesome. That's a cool story.
We roll the 104 here. We got the sickos in the chat taking your alpha and taking Rahm at 3. Is this a Fleetwood team? Do we like Bryson's YouTube channel? What do we like?
Yeah. So I'm intentional to get some Bryson exposure, which is different from my rank, but I think Tommy, if you're just drafting early on right now, I think he's better play.
Okay, let's do it. Tommy Fleetwood, great lettuce.
Oh yeah. And that's where the live golfers, we probably struggle. I had to be intentional about getting exposure to a handful of them, but I'm not going in naked Bryson to 150 set here for that, because he could obviously win a major, has recently.
Okay, cool. I like that. Man, we got all the sickos in the chat here. Oh, we got another Tigers fan in here, Steampunk Mario. Henley gets the pull up there. Bryson goes. Xander Schauffele goes. Hideki goes. Who do we like here?
Okay, so I would have, I have Fitz and Griffin as my 9 and 10, which is a little bit down. But Fitz would be 9 for me. Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Let's go.
I like Fitz. He's he's a week 17 play. Same with old Tommy here, trying to get the for the Open.
Yeah, Ludwig, Young.
Couple good links golfers.
So what ends up happening is, some of these guys that aren't in good form, I'm assuming Siwoo is going to get sniped from us before, but a McIntyre, his form has kind of fallen a little bit. But he's a major championship guy. I would be here. We're either going to get Siwoo or Bob. So yeah, cool. I'm good with either of those.
Sounds good to me.
I think I have.
I would have who I would select, but
yeah.
There we go. Everyone's happy now. Siwoo, draft woo.
Beautiful.
My lineup's set. Now we're good. Now we can just scroll a million times.
yeah. We are allowed to scroll officially. 3 picks, all you need.
My whole brain rot timeline has been filled with Anthony Kim this week because we went down the rabbit hole of like learning his story after watching a bit of I guess we were up late one of the nights over the weekend there, and my brother-in-law's a big golf guy, so we were watching a decent amount of that, and we watched the tail end of it live. And there's a story about him and his old fiance or ex-wife or something like this, and the only set of clubs in his apartment was like these women's graphite shaft whatever ones with pink grips. Let's make this pick. Sorry, I'm derailing us.
So I'm completely off Brooks, right? I'm
Okay.
Cantlay versus Spawn for me.
Okay.
I have Spawn just higher. And that's just more of like a long term. Like people are out on Spawn. His ADP, like, did you go Cantlay actually? Because then I want to see how late Spawn goes.
Okay, cool. We'll experiment here. We took Spawn in the other one there when everybody's off him. So we got some Spawn exposure on the program already.
Yeah, there's a chance he could get to us in the 5th, I bet. Like this.
Yeah.
People are out.
Anyways, this video is like he was just gonna go shoot 25 balls for like a media shoot or something like that, and had a touch. He was like, I hadn't touched a club in like, I think he said 12 months, maybe 14 months, something like that, right? And he just takes his girlfriend's 8-iron graphite shafts with pink grips and just goes and puts them all in like a little like 8-foot radius all together. 25 balls, hasn't swung in forever. And I was like, that's fucking dope. Like just being like that naturally gifted. Like I love that shit.
That's hilarious.
I mean, it was cool. Like again, live or not, like it was a sick story. Like
yeah, exactly.
It was the most captivating Liv has been in its whole like history, you know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, without a doubt. It's like I think it might be the only time I've ever watched Live Golf live before.
Right, for sure.
Keegan might come back to us.
Yeah, Spawn went.
Yeah, JJ went right after us. Sam Olson's a sicko crusher on the site, and he's not buying into the most recent update stuff there.
So JT, I actually would go over Keegan. So it's confirmed. So he's been out all season with injury. Yep. Confirmed. He's gonna. If you guys are familiar with TGL, it's that simulator golf league that they play on ESPN. So he's going to be back on that on Monday. So sweet. I think he's pretty close to returning.
Cool. All right. He is going to play some sim stuff next week. Beauty. Sky, are you a stick or what, dude?
No, I try. I mean, like, I enjoy the game. Like, I get out quite a bit, but I'm not that good. No. I live in Florida, though. So, like, I need to get better.
Yeah.
Yeah, go down to the Jupiter.
So I'm in Sarasota, so the west side. So
okay.
I'm trying to get. I got a little 2-year-old boy, so I try to get him on the course with me. So
awesome. Nice. There you go. That's the move. Set yourself up right there.
He loves it. He's obsessed with golf carts. And we got another boy coming actually in like a few weeks here. So we're just gonna.
Oh, congrats, man!
Thank you.
My guy Akshay goes.
Oh yeah, he folded like a tent last weekend.
I know. I was there.
Who do we like? Wyndham stands out as a name. Corey Connor's good Canadian kid. So Minwoo Lee, you guys said you liked?
Yeah, so that Ryan Gerard has been.
Okay, Ryan?
Right there. Yeah. 3 seconds taken. He's been like a breakout player early in the season.
Yeah.
We projected him super volume heavy, so we had a lot in I think I had him 33 in ranking. So basically at my ranking, we had him there.
Okay.
Let's see. Harry Hall yet?
Nez, it's starting, man. It's starting again. We're getting NBA news dumps already. It's starting again. The break is over, man. We got to start grinding again.
Save it.
You guys enjoy the break? I mean, you've been printing, haven't you?
Oh, don't tell everybody. No, it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. But the break was nice to just like mental reset, chill. But it came at the wrong time for the boys.
Yeah, not right. Yeah. So we had Wyndham Clark there. He still hasn't gone. Is he kind of down right now? There he goes. There is he kind of down right now?
Yeah. I mean, he won that major, I think in 23. and hasn't really gotten back to that level. Let's see. You guys are so good at like multitasking as you're on the board.
No, we need you to lock in. You're the expert.
So Min Woo, I'm pretty down on him relative major stuff. I mean, we haven't got a live golfer. Like I have some Cam Smith stuff. Like he's 39 in the rankings. I would have Noren, I guess, slightly ahead of him, but it's a toss up. Like I think either or. Let's see.
I'm always taking the guy with the lower ADP. So if you give me that 0.3, I'm taking Noren here.
So let's see. Knapp
counts as a scroll.
Knapp's 55 in the ranking. So there's a chance Knapp plays himself into the Masters, and like that does change a lot, right? Like,
okay,
you're looking at a Noren who's in the Masters, and like that's been my hard part about like building projections is like, I mean, at ETR we do filter it by like raw projected points, right? There is just a lot of variance of in and out of the tournament, where these guys are probably like of places to scroll. Like this is probably your tournament, right? There's not that big of a gap to a lot of these guys.
Okay, cool. So who do we like in this range then? I had Knapp before. Novak, Bridgman's playing well. Who do we like?
I'm kind of like safe here. Like I got a lot of Cootie. Like Cootie's running himself up the board, but he's somebody that I think like given his shots against top guys, like he can. It's not that much different than the Knapp. So like I understand it either way, but like here is when I would say starting like now these last 4 picks, like I have just basically even with Cootie, like he was undrafted in a lot of stuff early. Like I'm starting to scroll.
Okay, perfect. That's music to my ears.
Because you're like likely because if you scroll, can you show me our team again?
Yep. We got Fleetwood, Patrick, Siwoo Kim, Cantley, JT, Gerard, Noren, and Cootie.
Yeah, Cootie. So those top 7 are in every major. You know, like they're going to be in there. So you're not going to field a roster without, you know, scoring spots basically. So this is where like, yeah, I'm trying to get those like type of one-offs.
Wait. Let's consult the list. You know, I screenshotted it.
Yeah, we can get into those. Puj, we can get into Koiven. I mean, I'm guessing we're going to probably get sniped on a handful of things, but KOI.
Jackson.
Because like I don't think there's just that much difference in 52 versus I don't know. I mean, like, does Koiven have to be the guy here versus like you may have with like Scaper? You just have more likelihood of 4 majors versus Koiven's locked in 2.
Okay. All right.
So SCH. I would probably be. I would wait on Koiven for a round. Can we go Scaper first? SCH.
Yeah. Let's do it. I love that we're drafting multiple dudes with 0 projections.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Underdog gifted us that.
It's a flex.
Look, Yasiel Puig's brother.
Mm-hmm.
I got my top secret list, proprietary list here.
2 of my guys are still here. I think they're in awful form right now. As Sahith and Aaron Rai. These guys just like completely toast, or just recent form just so bad.
I would say like overarching major championships probably are more on the power side of things than short hitting, and Rai is just a short hitter. So I think he just gets discounted a lot in those. Sahith is more of like a short game wizard too. Like he's not much of a ball striker. Where I don't see that much of a difference from him to some of the scrolls.
Ned's taking these short off the tee guys, these 3.3s. We're looking for 3.9s out here, bro. We're getting full 3.9s out here with our guys. There was no way we were leaving this. I just took the wheel there, guys. There was no way we were leaving this without Sky's highest drafted player. So I was just like, it's John Kiefer season now.
All right.
Yeah. It looks like so Niergaard Peterson went right after the Højgaards are starting to go. Yeah.
I think the other Højgaard went like early.
Yeah, his ADP's.
Ooh, hold on.
So Penge is another one. He went on the turn there. He's another one from Europe who he struggled out of the gates, but he's in majors. Koivu, of course, Tigers guy. So I appreciate that. Let's see if I get on other guys. Who was I drafting late? Did you favorite Puig?
Sorry, you cut out there.
You favorited Puig, right?
Yep. We got Yasiel Puig's brother up here, David.
Yeah.
We got 2 more picks left. Do we just like for the good karma, good vibes, tack on Tiger to close this thing out, or what?
No,
it's an absolute like flair pick, just to absolutely
just roster
shove it.
11. Just like we don't even need the 12th.
It's the calling your dad on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire to let him know that you're about to win $1 million.
Thanks. That was a really good comp.
Thank you. Just for the vibes, man.
I mean, he said he might play. Like
he's gonna try.
Sammy's winning this weekend, and he's just sitting here.
So you could do another one. You scroll past like some of these guys are tough, like a Will Zalatoris. Like he might not play. He might not play any master or majors. He's not in anything right now. So like, but if he won this next week, like he would auto qualify. So like, I don't think I would go that far into doing it. I mean, there's other live guys like Haotong Lee actually at 67 ADP there. I've got a lot of Haotong. He's came out hot on the PGA Tour. He should be in a handful of majors. A lot of these guys that come over from Europe
he got
locked in the open.
All right, who are we ending it with?
No, I actually probably wouldn't do Zalatoris.
Is Grazerman gonna play any majors?
He should get into a couple. Yeah, him and Sammy are gonna probably have a couple of them in them.
Who do we prefer?
So Grazerman right now. Grazerman, yeah, go.
All right, let's do it.
He's in the Masters. So again, you get into the Masters. He's 51 in the world. It's likely that he's going to get in the second and third. So he's fine.
Right on. Well done, gentlemen. I think this scroll list is going to be like freaking catnip for me getting in these streets. I'm going to be drafting just the same scroll list over and over again. Forget randomizing the back end guys. I'm randomizing the front end guys. And then I'm just taking Kiefer. How do I say Puig's real name?
Puig.
Oh, it's Puig. Okay. That's less fun to say. I'm just going to keep calling him Yasiel. And then that was good. And then Koivu went as well. He did go, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we took him. No, Steam. Yosh took him.
I went Kiefer first selfishly because I was like, we need Sky's 100% or 40% drafted guy or whatever.
And I would even say Cootie, like that's where like, I mean, the contest, how full is the contest right now? Maybe like 30, 40%?
Yeah, I think it was 41.
Okay.
Let's see. No, 23. Okay. The weekly contest was 41.
So probably like early Cootie drafts, like he was a scroll early. He's caught up in some of those, but like he's not going to be 100% owned guy either. So
love it. Listen, Eggers wants us to check out his team before we leave here. He went all EU guys. Oh no. You've got 4 US guys on there, dude. He went European heavy at the jump here. That's what he did.
It's the European Ryder Cup 1 through 5 right there.
There you go.
It's a good team.
Beautiful. All right, boys.
First, bro.
Let's tie a bow on it. That was fun. I learned a lot today. Appreciate you coming on, Sky. This was really good. This was a really good precursor to get me excited to draft these contests. I think the community is going to love it because they're looking for excuses to get in here, and I just think there's not enough alpha around it, and you filled that void for us in a big way. Everybody go check out ETR, of course, season-long packages available there. Loaded content schedule. I'm not going to lie. I did not realize how much content you guys were putting out behind the paywall there. That's truly great to see. I'll drop the link in the chat for everybody there. Anything you want to leave us with, Sky?
No, same intensity as football. Man, we're deep in the golf streets, and this is kind of where golf's hot, right? I mean, football's over, hoops of course going on, but I think golf, especially leading into the Masters, man, this is when it takes its forefront. So you can find me at Twitter at SkyHookDFS. Reach out, questions. The Discord at ETR, great community there too. A lot of friendlies, a lot of jokes. So if you want to get comfortable with things, feel free to fire away in there too. So excited to have be on. Like, this was super cool, and hopefully in the future we can get more together too.
Awesome, bro. Love it. I appreciate you doing this. Nez, any parting words for the people?
No, see you tomorrow. Sky, thanks for joining us, man. Absolutely crushed it. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing some alpha.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Man. Yeah, great stuff, boys. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same channel, all that good stuff. Return of NBA, and then we'll do Dog Bowl stuff on Friday. So a lot of hoops coming down the pipeline. And I did promise the people I am going to do a paywall dinger at some point and make good on it. I just did slow drafts yesterday. So that'll probably be tomorrow, double dip as well. But for now, let's go watch some U.S. puck and hope they lose to Sweden. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody's favorite time of the show. The end. Peace.